Alright, let's start out with the pointless audio sync, which of course I almost never use because I almost never edit anything, because I just like to sit here and flap my gums. Yicky yacky yicky yacky. Non-stop yakking on a live stream. Who would have thought? Okay, let's get the pop-out chat. And I think we should probably... I should start dismembering this 1466 while I wait for everybody to turn up. And it's at this fine point that I realise I took the screwdriver out of this room in violation of my standard policy. Alright, policies are there for a reason, and when you violate them, that's when things go wrong. Me taking this screwdriver out of this room meant that I wasted a whole 30 seconds. And your time too. Into the rubbish bin. Hey Joseph, yep, you caught one. Hey Greg. Osis. Andrew, well, we've got Andrew and Rodrigo, and Gabor, or is it Gabor? Hey Barry. Alright, let's see, right, yeah, we're trying to get these pentalobes out of here. Now, I don't actually really know what is wrong with this 1466. It turned up with a cluster of other Macbooks that all just simply are here, I imagine, because something's wrong with them. I certainly don't think they're coming here for a spa and sauna day. Hey Scratcher. Hey Kenny. Teresa. Oh, I'm not actually complaining about MacBooks today. My complaints are actually something that's very close to the heart of Greg here. He understands. Couriers. Yes, we all love couriers. We actually do love couriers when they do their job right, and we love to loathe them when they do their jobs wrong. And I think they've changed the driver locally for the group that normally I'm very happy with, because the last 3 packages have been a nightmare. They've gone to the wrong place. They have been out for delivery, been in this town and did not get delivered. And I knew that was going to happen, so I had to chase them down before they even left the town. And unfortunately I was a little lax today and forgot about one that I needed to come in. And it was in town and I didn't hunt it. And because I didn't hunt it, it went back. So, and I didn't get any message to say we weren't able to deliver or anything like that. It was just like silently reabsorbed into the system. Yeah, Greg's nodding his head furiously. Paul, I thought I said hi. No, you're invisible. You must be invisible, Paul. I'd say that's what the problem is, you're invisible. I was intrigued about that thing with text symmetry you mentioned yesterday. Guy has some knowledge and experience but is lacking some social skills. I think that was the main issue. I think that's probably well, I mean, I haven't studied enough, but from what I have gathered, Dadamras, your comments seem to reflect what a lot of other people have said as well. And I do believe Lewis tried rather extensively to provide an olive branch in the form of funding, but I think maybe the hole was dug too far or something. I don't know. All I know is that it probably spun well out of hand. Greg, you know, the big problem with the knife and all that to make the impression is I've got to actually get a hold of the damn driver. But they delivered a large box from Element 14, which is Farnell for most of you. And that contained a lot of stuff in it. And they delivered it about 500 meters away because they just couldn't find my address, I'm guessing. And then there's some more stuff, replacement parts that I was expecting today, and they probably, they just didn't even bother. So it's starting to really tick me off. They have a story about AP and the cat worming stuff. AP. Hey, Rodrigo received a package from DHL. It took 11 days from China to Argentina. That's actually not too bad, yeah. My problem I have with places like UPS and DHL, or a lot of stuff coming, say, from China to Australia, is that it will quite rapidly get into Australia. But as soon as it gets into Australia, it's just like it. All of a sudden, they downshift by a lot of gears, and you end up with nothing happening for several weeks, as is the case in this case. You get excited. You see the package in the status updates, and you say, has arrived in your country. And even AliExpress and whatnot will email you every day saying, has arrived in your country. And it just sits and spins, and that's it. But yeah, it's very frustrating. I don't know whether it's because the industry itself doesn't pay well enough, so they don't get good drivers, or the drivers just don't give a far out. But it's quite detrimental to business productivity here. Yeah. Goods have been on a magical mystery tour. I'd rather they wouldn't. Yeah. Dear. I think they presume you're out if you miss delivery. Well, they don't even try. They no longer even say attempted or failed delivery. They just simply go. It just says out for delivery, and then nothing happens until about 10 o'clock at night, and then all of a sudden it's like unable to deliver because of time constraints. And what sucks is that where we are positioned in this town, we are generally towards the end of the delivery route. So 3 o'clock comes along and they just head back to Townsville and we miss out. But what's really frustrating is they won't even message you or anything like that. Like, I know they drop off at a local depot or an agent that handles the packages, but unless I actually call them telling them you are probably going to get this package this afternoon because they haven't delivered it, then they will just let it fall through to the next day as well, because they're like, well, we can't be bothered calling you every damn time a package turns up. It's not what we're here for. It's just frustrating. I mean, the amount of Xanax that couriers must cause to be sold is crazy. Anyway, hey David, Patrick, hey Prater. Right, now for the thanks of the stream, I would like to thank Daniel Lang. He sent me through this 1707 board, which of course is complete. It's not a crappy, what do you call it? Not a crappy AliExpress train wreck type board. I mean, it has got some issues, like the fact that it's got a drill hole there and a drill hole there. But ignoring that, it's a good board. It's going to have chips on it that we can use. And he also sent me a bunch of other chips, so thank you very much for that, Daniel. I don't know if you're going to be here right now, but I hope that you at least at some point see this message and hear that you've been thanked for that very generous contribution that you've made. You didn't have to do that, and I'm very happy to have another complete chicken, as it were, because we talk about cutting off the chicken wings or the body for these sort of boards. So yeah, that's a really good thing. And it also invoked me to start putting the parts into the little container drawers that I've got from the other day, which got delivered to the wrong address yesterday. So yeah, getting things rolling. Hey Jan Zimmy, I've got a fly flying around here and it's going to get killed if it's not careful. Let's see, Little Picker. Our posties are really good at delivering our mail to our neighbourhood and our neighbours' mail to us. They do like to scatter elastic bands everywhere though. Well, that's fortunately at least one of those things you can tolerate, hey. And miles, drivers don't give a crap. We get drivers just carting on a daily basis that don't even walk down the drive. Yeah, it's like I said, something in the industry needs to change, because it just seems to be getting worse, and there's no denying that we are moving to letter post is basically dead for the most part. We are a parcel posting demanding society these days. Okay, so let's see, we've got a 1466 here. It's a 820-00165. You can quickly tell because it's got a very tiny J tag. I know it's not a real JTAG, but we just call it a JTAG for the sake of keeping things consistent. The 3437, of course, has one that's about twice the width. I don't know what's wrong with this. We're going to plug it into the MagSafe. We'll put a chipmunk in and see how it chatters. And Daniel Laser, and Nelson, Ed. Thank you, Joseph. Joseph, thank you too, by the way, for all the very helpful comments that you leave, like information comments. That's it's the stuff that I should be doing, but I gotta admit I'm quite appreciative that you do it for me. I'm going to think of a way of thanking you better than just simply nice cheap words. I always take from Futurama Homie's statement, you know, when his kid smashes some other person's window because of their paper delivery route, and the kid is like trying to work out how to apologize for what they've done. They say, oh, you know, do we offer to pay for the window? And Hermes is like, oh, no, no, no. He says, we just use nice, cheap words. Basically just meaning, you know, give out a few select apology words and move on. Don't offer to pay for anything. David, I will kick you out if that's the case. There you go. David has signed up to be banned if this is a dead CPU. Alright, here we go. Green light, fan spin. David might be getting kicked out. Oh, this is a classic. David's getting kicked out. Bye-bye, David. Alright. I do have something to confess, though. The other day I had one of these failures, and I fixed it. But I don't know if it was a fluke or whether it was legit. But yeah, this is a classic 165 failure pattern where it will spin for about 10 seconds. You'll get no USB activity, no CPU activity. It will then shut down and it will spin up again. The other thing to note, sorry, I kind of cut that short, is that typically you'll get about 100 milliamp less on your current. Yeah, see how it's posting 370? Oh, you can't. Damn it. Over here. Okay. See how the current is sitting at about 370? Yeah. Okay, now it's at 28. Okay. Yeah, so you can see it's 370. That should be about 500 to 600. So when it's doing this, there's a whole section not powering up. Anyway, I don't know why David offered to, you know, have himself sacrificed for this. That was very generous of you, David. But yeah, nice knowing you. Alrighty, I need my T8. Bloody 1466. You can't see the voltage. You can now. Hey, where's Alexandra Costa? Oh, you were whining about the voltage. Thanks, Osis. Yeah, I'm I need a little bit more light, just a bit more. But I was speaking to Graham of Adamant IT, and he gave me a link to a couple of the lights that he's using for his setup. So I'm going to grab a few of those, and if they don't work, then I'm going to be kicking Graham out too. I think it's just busting chops time. Oh, look. So typically, we never have actually had a definitive diagnosis as to what is causing this behavior. We just assumed it's PCH or CPU related, because it's very consistent when it fails, and everything seems to be there, as in all the rails are there, everything seems to be behaving. So, well, Six Girls, you may actually be in luck. Speaking of which, I've got to send your multimeter kit out to you, don't I? 2 of them, I believe. David Boyd, I would agree with that. Yes, I feel that, if you are the sort of person who doesn't have a clear address marked on your package, then you deserve it to be misdelivered. Fortunately, because I am acutely conscious of that, I make sure my address deliveries are very clear, and all the ones that I get from my suppliers are also printed very clear. Specifically because, you don't want to inconvenience your driver. You want to make them happy to deliver to. So you do everything you can, and I guess that's why I get extra snotty though when I don't get deliveries, especially when all of the prerequisites for a happy delivery have been made, and it falls into the lap of blame of the driver then. Pray to rehop CPU. Won't be doing that. See Gamers Nexus post an unedited video of the meeting that Steve had with 4 executives of Newegg. Oh, wow. Can we have cliff notes on that? The houses. Oh, that's the other thing, David. Yep, I go to pains to make sure that I've got my numbering marked very distinctly at multiple angles on an object at the front of the house. Because you're right, it's very difficult to spot things when you're on the road. You got to turn the music down as well, just so you can see properly. Printed labels, absolutely. Alright, here's the first clue to what I think. Okay, so that's the SMC reset, I'm pretty sure, is it? I think, it is. Okay, so that's clue 1, and I hope this turns out to be a vindication of my theory. Yeah, David, I suppose we'll have to let you stick around. We'll go with the innocent until proven guilty, but you will be judged as guilty until proven innocent. Okay, this has been washed. It's a 1.88, which is interesting because that is the same as the one that I did the other day. I thought it was funny with the gigabyte power supplies how people were talking about it, and then I plugged mine in and everything just goes bang, dies. Speaking of which, that power board that I used, it definitely has not come back to life. Yep, someone's been fire trucking with the SMC, zombie, SMC. It's so dead now because you played with it. And something's been going up here. Why is the CD3211 being messed with? That cap has been reheated. That's been replaced. Oh man, this is a pre-done board. Hey CD. Execs said they would thinking about creating an email address for people who have had issues with returns. So that's going to go to device null. So we've had liquid damage around that. Oh man. Not happy. Travis, I'm guessing you're talking about this one. That's a no stuff. That there is actually the power on button, so to speak. Oh wow, look at that. Damn it. Okay, this is a blower in handle hot air station. Okay, this is why you really should not get those crappy units. I'm sorry, I know we shouldn't just generalize and say they're all crappy, but they're all crappy. For the same money, you can get the Quick 867 Plus, I think it is, and it has a blower in body chassis configuration. We'll show it last night when I was talking to Graham Adamain IT, and they are vastly better for the same price. You will get distinctly superior results with your work. This here, that's fire trucked. That's going to have to be an SMC replacement. If I'm lucky, that's what it's going to be. And there's also the SMC reset circuit on the other side that needs rework. But I don't know what else has been done here, but this is a story of the board that... Yeah, okay, I'm going to shush now. Don't start singing like the coder. No, well, that's because I can't sing like the coder. The coder can actually sing relatively well. Is that a crack in the board between the squishy bits? This here? No, it's just a bit of flux there. You were talking about that area there, I'm guessing. That resistor configuration doesn't seem right. I'm probably wrong, but I could have sworn it. No, anyway. Drachev, you're gonna go join David. Damn, these people that are just hauling out the assessments. Oh no, I'm wrong. Wah wah. I might use this SMC. So we've got David and Drachev now sitting, waiting for the outcome. They may be right, but they may be wrong. Because like I said, I did manage to revive one of these last week. And I haven't posted about it on the MacBook forums because I wanted to actually double check, triple check in fact. I have not watched that video. I usually spend most of my video watching opportunities, watching Growling Sidewinder, or yeah, I don't too often watch tech videos like that. Okay, we're going to fix that little section up. Maybe check the PCH for reballing. That means I've got to actually take this off. But it's a fair thing to do. That's been off. I guess they were also checking the PCH, but that's been off. And the PCH looks fine. We should check the resistances though. Hey Michael Tritz. Okay, these should be about 10 or something. I said resistance, not... 17, I'm happy with that. It is cold, the board. $220, that's fine. Yep, that's good. Yep, okay, they're all good. There's no apparent major short in that area. At least I'm not trying to reball APUs by hand. I actually want to try something like that though, because I think there might be a technique to use that could result in a successful ball placement with those stencils. I don't know, it didn't help that the balls that he had were contaminated. And I mean, he knew that too, so... And he knew that's because once you get anything on them, they start sticking, deforming, all that sort of stuff, and it does make it very difficult. As Alton, hey creature, how the GPU fix? We haven't finished because we haven't got a suitable mainboard, or more specifically, we haven't got a suitable power supply to be able to sort that out. If you value your sanity, do not do that. Well, I'll start with a smaller chip. But the trouble is, like, those APUs, they've got 0.5 mil 0.5 mil balls. I mean, that's bigger than anything I ever deal with. So for me, the equivalent would be a CPU, I guess. Not too dissimilar. So I could reball a 165 CPU. Oh yeah, he will do it. That's right, he did mention so. I'll probably be asleep once he gets started though. Which means I'm going to miss out on the chance of trolling, but oh well. Sleep is required. Trolling is optional. Just going to change this resistor over. Ah, PMIC, that's what I should try. PMIC on something like a 1278. I'm not sure what size balls a 1278 PMIC would use, but I've got a few that probably could do with a PMIC replacement. Hope mine are larger than 0.65. I don't know. I think the largest I have is 0.5. Yeah, find my stash. Out there. Though I don't have that many of them. That's the trouble. Like, I've got absolutely hundreds of thousands of 0.35. Because that is for the SMCs. Okay, I got 0.6, 0.25 looks like to be my lower end, 0.5 and 0.4. So I got 4, 5 and 6. I don't have any half grades. The only next grade down is 0.45. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong there. Yeah, 0.4, 4, 5, 5, 6. Sudi, I was going to just grab... I was actually going to grab a whole new... Ew, that's disgusting. I was looking at just simply buying a whole new set. I can get the... what was it? I can get the 1200 socket set for about $300. And that's good power supply... bottom end CPU and the main board, and that's brand new. So I think I might just do that, and then at least I know I've got a known good working, or in theory a known good working setup. Hey Keith McDermott. Yeah, oh look, Nelson's here too. Yeah, a little cantankerous because of package delivery issues. Okay, I don't think anything would have changed because there's just too much butchering of the board on the other side. But I am going to try and keep some sort of status update. Come on. It helps if you plug those in the right way. So as I do a change on this board, I will test it because I want to be able to see if I'm making any progress. Look, I mean, like I said, I actually am more of an AMD person for a long time on a personal side, but I switched to Intel simply because the Intel CPU packet stood it. CPU plus GPU, it's generally a works out of the box, no dramas, no fuss scenario. And I guess a lot of that came down to when you're dealing with hundreds of machines in a workplace spread across a country, you really just don't want anything but that strays out of that. So we used to basically have your Intel setup, 3C 905, network card. Yeah, very much consistent, down the line, predictable stuff. I've got plenty of RAM, so that's not a problem. Like I said, I mean, $300 for a brand new setup, that's not too bad. On Linux, they're good though. The point is, though, that they may be buggy, but they're functional in the sense of, in most cases, it'll work out of the box with the Windows that it's meant for. Yeah, 3C 509. There was also a 905. 905. Yeah, it was 30 years ago, I know. Actually, it wasn't. It was 20. 22. Okay. 27. We're splitting hairs here. And at that time, I personally always had AMD, and I continued on with AMD with their Opterons, and I loved them. But I think my last AMD, there was the Opteron 250s, I think I had. Really loved that combination. And I have considered getting the Ryzens, but and I was very tempted when the third generation of the AMD Ryzens came out. Well, yeah, I mean, the Opterons were the big 64-bit stompers. And the ones that basically told Intel with their crappy Itanium architecture to basically just go to hell. I was like, nice try, but no win. I was actually very thankful that AMD came out with the 64-bit version of the 32-bit systems, because I certainly did not want to be in that hell that Itanium was offering. Even Itanium 2 still wasn't that great. You can see the resistors above where you're working. They're on this board to your right. Hey, Warren Stamps. Yeah, Miles, I think you're right about that. Yeah, that was the other thing, is a lot of the AMD gear that came out, they were budget, but they just, particularly before we had SSDs coming around, it was just such a poor combination and left a sour taste in a great number of people's mouths. Sorry, which, hey, Smeller. You can see that resistors above where you're working are they're on this board, so you're right. The other board appears to be missing them. Okay, I'm not, looks like 2 there. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. On, off, triple. On, off, triple. Okay, no, it seems to be all there. Oh, no, what's happening here? There's 2 caps missing there. I took them off. HDB. I think if you go for like, i5 4th gen to Ryzen 3 would be a nice jump. But anyway, yeah, the built-in internal GPU, or the lack of originally with the AMDs, was a bit of a sticking point. Yeah, so this here, even though it looks worse, is actually the board we're working on. It looks pretty bad, I know. I'm going to actually give it a tap reflow, see how it behaves. Jaden. The thing that I'm not enjoying here is that I'm fighting against the previous work. Crikey, creature, you got 9900? Jeez. This is just an i5 12500, this one. But I am happy with it, apart from the lack of support in the Linux kernel currently. It is getting there, but I think by the time it does get there for the iGPU, I'll probably be tolerant of the T400 enough. I could actually upgrade the i5 8400 board, I think, to a 9th gen, but I really don't see the point. I'll just stick with the CPU it's got on there. I found that the prices for the 8th gen CPUs are usually more than the 12th gen. Okay, you are not moving properly because you were not quite ready. It is a risky move, but I'm only just doing it to test because it's already dead, and I'm just kind of curious to see whether it changes the behavior. But yeah, it's a risky move. But you kind of get used to doing it. The trick is to do it early in the stream when you're not suffering the shakes so much. If you do it later, when you are suffering the shakes, then it's going to end very badly. A kernel panic? The other thing that often happens is if you infrared check these boards when they're making that odd behavior with the boot, is the camera chip will heat up. That's another symptom that shows. Okay. This probably is going to be a dead one, but I'm going to give it a shot. Hey Arnold. Our current is up. Come on. Blink, you bastard. Blink. Blink. Damn it. Yes! There we go. How do I do this. Yeah, we're gonna leave it. Anyway, it's working. David does want to get kicked out. You're lucky it's blinking. But it's blinking a little on the slow side. Yeah. David's safe. But there you go. So it seems like the whole issue where we have been blaming potentially the PCH may not always be the PCH, because this is now the second one that is SMC related. So yeah, both of them, funnily enough, were the 8GB 1.8 gig frequency versions, and both of them had issues with the SMC. Now, I need to put it back into the chassis and see if it actually can boot. Best CPU catastrophe I've seen was an AMD 486. Someone managed to put it in rotate 90 degrees. Literally blew the... That would have been funny. Sad, but funny, yeah. It was... They must have really worked hard to do that, because there were enough of those keying pins that there would have been enough of misalignment that, as they say, you'll feel a little bit of pressure. There should have been a bit of pressure on that, pushing back against them doing that orientation, but I know it can happen, particularly when you get ham-fisted techs, and instead of them sort of responding to the feedback that the chip is trying to give them, basically saying, I'm orientated the wrong way, they just see it as a sign of meaning you need to push harder to get me in the right way. So I know those ones exist. We used to try and filter them out of the workshop as quick as possible, because they would always cost a lot of money. Have I kept... Yes, I have kept a number of them. Not all of them. I did start to part steal, particularly SMCs, funnily enough. Oh, I've trapped the Wi-Fi cable down here. That's all I need now. Just have the Wi-Fi cable snagged, sitting on the board in a bad place. I power it up and it goes bang. However, look, for the last year and a half, for some reason, every time that they show this symptom, we would do things like change the SMC and it would still fail. So, yeah, no one really thought, alright, well maybe it is still the SMC, but I think it's the supporting circuitry around the SMC, not the SMC itself. Whatever it is, it seems to be something to do with what's around the SMC, and it may yet happen that as this board cools down, it fails again. Hey Richard. Using a hammer to install a CPU. Yeah. So yeah, it may yet fail. Because that is the other thing. Sometimes you could invoke it. Ouch, ow, ow, ow. You can invoke it to work by heating it up, which is all the more reason why we lean towards it being... There's that fly. Come here. Come here, fly, and die. Broken trace inside. Yeah, it could be multiple things. And like I said, this may not even boot yet. There you go, see, it's not even fan spinning now. Are you kidding me? and it's back down to 360. So yeah, we rejoiced a little too early, it seems. So it does seem to be something thermally related. Could be a crack in the SMC. Yep, we jumped the gun too soon. It has failed again. So what we'll do... Actually, it could be the DCM board too. I'll double check that. Yeah, so with regards to battery and screwing them in, I agree. They really should essentially mandate that. I'm sure there are corner cases where a screwed in battery actually results in an inferior outcome under certain circumstances. But do you go for the corner case or do you go for the everyday general case? Okay, still no fan spin. Alright, it's coming back out then. That's okay. That's okay. We weren't expecting a full miracle, but I guess what this indicates for us is that it's probably less likely that it is actually a fault related to the PCH. Oh, that fly. Is another thing I didn't check. We didn't have the fan in when we originally tested it. So could it be that the fan itself is not spinning, but then the current was low though? Ah, stupid pieces of junk on the edge. Okay, so we do get that, but straight away the current is well down where it should be. So this is going to probably drop out. $269, that's a very strange value. But it's all over the place. 269. Rock steady at 269. Okay, let's try without the keyboard. Maybe the keyboard's got liquid in it and is holding down a reset. That is not the case. Take the filter off and let it go to the choppers. Flies are just one of those things that around here. Flies and mosquitoes. And certain types of cockroaches get no love around here. Alright. Let's try heat up the SMC area. See if we regain functionality. Hey Reese, the ones we call European cockroaches, they are the worst. I have no problem with native cockroaches. There's many different kinds of very interesting native cockroaches we get here in Australia. But the ones we refer to as the European cockroaches, they're around about that big. Sometimes I've seen them up to nearly 2.5 inches. There's something about them that just makes you want to throw up. Especially if they land on your face or something like that. Need the bug zapper. It's in the other side of the house. Okay. See, we're back up to normal current now. So we heated up the SMC. We're back up to normal current. Betcha we can, if we're quick enough, we should be able to get the fan spin. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Okay. So it's something to do with around the SMC area, or the SMC itself is dodgy. And it's difficult because unfortunately this has been reworked, so we don't really know, and there's nothing so much on the other side, so that at least eliminates a sort of issue. It could be related to this here, which is the SMC reset controller, or it could be the SMC. It could be a resistor that's behaving odd. It could be the crystal. There's a lot of could be's in this, and I think I need to take the time to try and work out what that could be is. Well, we did let it cool down the first time. This is a 165. The 165 is the only one that exhibits this particular fault. The 3437 does not demonstrate this. Now, on the previous one where I had the damage, there was issues sort of in this area. And I checked all of the resistors and they all came up okay. I would do things like, leave a resistor off, just to mess with it, but it never exhibited that same behavior. It's surprising how many resistors you can leave off around here and it'll just keep trucking along like nothing changed. So right now I'm looking around to see if I can find anything that I could blame. I said it's a little hard because this has been reworked, and I was fairly tight with my reheating to constrain it mostly within this area here. I suppose the simplest thing is just replace the SMC. If it resolves the issue outright, then we know that's definitely the fault. The golden resistors, no, they didn't get hit with the current, they got hit with the previous person's excessive heat when they were using the blowing handle system. Okay, and we are now down back to 270 milliamps. Okay, so we're back down into failure mode. I'm just going to push down on the SMC, see if that makes any difference. Pushing down does not make a difference. Okay, I'm going to switch to 250 on the... and I'm going to drop down to, say, 10% air. And we're going to stick that on the SMC, just like that. We're not getting anything else. Yeah, it should be long enough. Let's see if we're back. And we're back. The fact I've made it a very low temperature, 250, and very low airflow. So that essentially tells me that yes, 90% likely the SMC, 10% it's one of the peripheral glue logic parts. Diatom, the only trouble I find with when you're trying to do it while it's booting is that the sequence that it's running through doesn't seem to repeat to restart it. And we've actually now gone back to failure mode. So, okay, we'll do what Diatom asks and see if it actually comes back. And we're stuck at 370. But if I restart the cycle, it then boots up. That's what I was talking about. It doesn't recycle itself. It just rebooted then. This is misbehaving quite all over the place. The thing is, the heat I'm putting on there is not enough to actually be getting into the board. Not that quickly, anyway. I'm intentionally making it so it really does just stay on the SMC. Okay, we're down 150 now. And again, just on the SMC. I'm going to guess that if I take that SMC off, I'm going to see delamination in some of the layers. Okay, 150 and it's come back to life in terms of current. It might give us one CPU cycle. Yeah, okay, it's not quite enough to bring it back. But it did have an improvement. I'm going to take the SMC. The easiest thing we can do right now is we take the SMC off, we put a new SMC on. If that solves it, then it's going to be one of two things. Either the reflows the part at fault around the SMC, or it really was the SMC. So when you do this, inevitably there are parts around the SMC that are going to get reflowed in place. So it does make it a little bit harder to separate what was the true cause. I'd be disinclined to think that it is a dry joint, given the very small amount of heat I've applied. Basically, I just put the nozzle just directly above the SMC, and it's simply not really enough to create that effect on any of the parts around it. But like I said, I'm kind of curious to see whether there's going to be delamination on the underside of this SMC, on its internal structure, that is. It could also be an internal board layer fault, but less possible, in my opinion. It is possible it could be the crystal. There is that idea. I have replaced them in the past, the crystals, in an attempt to resolve the issue without success. That's not to say maybe I butchered it up. Okay, is there any delamination down there? Doesn't look like it. No? Okay. Ah, you idiot. Need some assistive heat here. Wrong tip to use for cleaning up that. So for the most part, this is really a case of dividing up the possibilities. until we get to the point where we can genuinely eliminate one or the other. And it's possible you may suggest it's one thing and it ends up being the right thing, but regardless, you still sort of have to go through the process of dividing the possibilities. Yeah, just because you guess it right the first time doesn't mean that it was the wrong process to take. Miles, yes it is, and I just didn't reach for the bigger tip. It wasn't because it wasn't available, I just didn't reach for it. It's an entire 10 centimeters further away. Yeah, there is one in the middle there, the base middle one, that's a little bit fat, but it's okay. Okay, that'll protect it while we put it to the side and commence with the SMC rebuild. Now I hope this SMC is okay. It's hard to say because that's what's happened to the PCH. We don't have a lot of choices at the moment. Miles, are you inferring that Queenslanders are inherently lazy? It seems like you're the lazy one, because if you weren't a Queenslander, you would know that I'm not a Queenslander. But then again, you may counter that by saying that I'm just appropriating their culture. I'll have a look at that when I get back to it. Okay, putting Jason Vilma to shame there by excessive use of flux. Rah. Jim Allen, to be honest, I actually don't know. I guess I'm a bit of a mixer. Bitzer, mixer, mongrel. I suppose it's the not so nice way of saying it. I'll have a look at that pad just now. First I need to grab a piece of solder, replace what's on here with leaded, and then remove it. Creature, that's terrible, but true. To suck up some of this flux makes it easier. Okay, we'll let that cool down. We'll have a look at the board. See what pin you guys are talking about. Okay, you're talking about bottom left. Okay, funnily enough, that's only because it's had the solder removed from it in a slightly different way. It's just shinier than everything else. Everything else has got a bit of a matte, but that's just got a shiny finish. In other words, I left a little bit of solder on there. But that was good spotting. Watching this, the optics kind of make it difficult to demonstrate that. Okay, we need to clean this SMC, and then we've got to clean the actual board. Very specialized modern cleaning system. The fingertips. These very slightly textured gloves help considerably for cleaning up this sort of stuff. It's not an aggressive process, but it does displace the flux quite nicely. Yeah, I saw that creature. I mentioned it before, but I'm not too worried about it. Just checking the edge pins for corrosion. You will often find, well, I shouldn't say often, you will sometimes find with SMCs, even if it doesn't look like they got corrosion damage, you have to check these tiny little copper pin heads, because many a time corrosion will creep in through those and you won't even see it until you take it and have a look at edge on. Okay, now we've got to flush out all the nasty from this. Toothbrush was actually the correct implement and I chose the wrong one. And then I'll do it again. The main reason why I don't want flux or too much flux in this area is because it does have a tendency when you do the reflow to wick up between the chip and the stencil. Even if you think it's not going to get there, it just magically does have a tendency to do so. And yeah, it just causes problems. But that's pretty good now. And then we just got to watch out for the fibres that are everywhere. Seems like I've got a couple of solder balls there lining up to be candidates for the corner solder balls. Touch, touch. Ah, the damn. Okay, one down. That's our 2 locators done. There we go, big blob of IPA. This is what I was trying to get across today, but without much luck. And that's simply way too many. Way too many for this particular job, but oh well. Alright, and they are all populated that I can see. So, what on-screen voltmeter are you using on the upper left corner screen if anyone else knows? Be a Geek, it's a custom written one. I basically just write it for each multimeter or power supply I get. I have a template program code. And I just simply use that again and again. I'm trying something different today. People are gonna because I can't seem to consistently this just does not behave like my Quick did. So I'm gonna use a different technique. And I feel like it's a shame that I have to use this different technique, but it is what it is. And it's already giving me hell because oh my god, damn it, that's not a good technique. If I rub that blob of flux over, it's going to drag. Okay, I didn't think about this properly. That's why you shouldn't try new things on a live stream. Okay. I should have heated things up a little bit more first. Far out. Thank God for the flux. Let's put it back in the hole. And right. Okay, weight distribution is not good either. Panic much? Okay, obviously there's things I've got to sort out with this new technique. Yeah, Andrew, I did prefer the quick. It definitely was more predictable. I could do these SMCs asleep almost, but now with the Atom, for some reason, it just isn't working out with the technique. Getting the balls in and everything like that, and not having to use tape, that's working great. But the technique for doing the reflow, I'm basically having to now use glass plate to stop them jumping out like little feral bastards. The worst thing is, because I don't have the airflow, I can't get the damn flux to behave how I want it. No, that did not work out. Notice how several of them are more interested in the glass than they are the SMC. See if I can slide this off. I think what I'm going to have to do is buy some extremely low viscosity flux. Yeah, flux that's basically almost like water. And then it will allow me to do the preheat without the flux and then just put a few drops and it will spread very well. Whereas at the moment, for whatever reason, it just doesn't work like it did with the quick. I'm just heating it up a little bit more so that I can then apply some more flux. I might not have to. It looks like it's actually... it does look like it needs a bit more. But it's really sad because I definitely had that technique down really well. Creature, the main reason for the glass is that it stops the balls bouncing out because of the flux. Okay, it's cooled off enough there. See, I used to be able to do this with the quick, and it would just work beautifully. And I don't understand what the difference was. I should be able to just reflow this now and it should be good. Because they're all stuck down. Or it should be. One or two may come popping out. No, that looks like they're all stuck, so that's good. APR. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just experiencing, creature. And that's why I was moaning about it. Gotta be careful, they can actually stay molten for quite a while. Mostly due to the residual heat in the synthetic rock. It just sort of keeps the SMC. Okay, we got a runner there. The safest thing to do for a runner is to put the SMC stencil back on. It's a shame you couldn't get to see the previous videos, Creature, where everything just went so nice. Okay, we got away with that one. But yeah, it's the flux that's causing the bobbling and the pop out. Yeah. Anyway, we have a successful reball. Ach nee, man. Wow, my stream is lagging something serious. I can see what you're seeing, and the lag is terrible. Miles, that's a very thin layer that's down there. That's a thin layer. I've deliberately you know me, I make it thin. In theory, it should shift to the left and slightly up. Well, it's on pretty crooked, to be honest, but we'll see how we go. I do use a lower air for the reflow with the leaded. There we go. Still not finished adjusting though. There we go. I was waiting for that to rise up, so that's good. That looks pretty dead on to me. It might have looked like there was more flux than there really was on that board, because I typically only put a very thin layer on the main board. The other thing is I didn't submerge when I did the reflow of the SMC itself, the underside, I didn't put a lot of flux on that. I don't know how some people, they just put a pool of flux down there and they manage to make it work. But I'm not one of those people. Resistor 3 rows, left, oh man. Yeah. Yeah, there's probably a little bit of corrosion on some of them. But nothing that was significant that I could see. Anyway. Cool enough. Okay, so we are at 500. It's a little on the low side of the 500 though, so it's a bit of a concern. Okay, we saw 600, that's good. Honestly, I feel like nah, there we go, 300. We're down, we're out. Ah, 357, that's not right. I choose to believe that this is actually lying to me. I suspect if I take the power away and try it again, it may not work. Oh no, it's come up. I gotta wait for the greenie. Come on, greenie. You gonna come out and play? You are. What is this? I wonder if this is a newer revision of the SMC. Maybe this one runs at a lower current, but okay, let's stick it into the board and see what happens. It's blinking and it's cool to the touch, so it's definitely not failing in the same way. It may still have a failure point, but it's not failing in the same way. Yeah, it's USB activity, which means we've got CPU activity. Unlike a poor board that I worked on earlier tonight, it looked like a gaming Acer machine. I know it sounds, what do you call it, an oxymoron, but yeah, it was a fairly high-end Acer laptop. And they'd just done a screen replacement on it, and the screen, I think, was a 1440 pixel screen, like it's in, I don't know, 2560 by 1440. And it didn't come back to life after they replaced the screen. And I found a short on the PCH. Put the infrared camera on, and the PCH lit up like a Christmas tree, which is really sad. It's like I'm not exactly sure how that happened. I can only speculate that because it was an internal battery unit, like you couldn't disconnect or remove it unless you open up the laptop. I can only speculate that there was a mishap with the alignment of the connection of the new screen, or maybe it was actually active and trying to display backlight when that happened, and subsequently it killed it. And it's an expensive laptop, I'm sure. It's probably a good $1,500, I'd say. So it's not good news. I was kind of hoping I'd be wrong, and I could still be wrong, but when the PCH single point lights up like that, it's not good. Hey, Catherine. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I see 500 at the initial, so that's good. Now this board is well and truly going to be cold now. 480, 300. Yep, that's still booting. Okay. Yes, I do agree, Miles. That's why you should never replace them without disconnect the battery. I gotta admit though, at times I have actually done that. Replaced screens on laptops without removing the battery. However, at the very least, you do make sure that the laptop is definitely off, in the sense of, you know, it's not asleep, it's actually shut down and off. And if I'm uncertain, yeah, I'll do that probably on the old standard 1366 by 762 type screens or whatever it is. But if it's a HD screen, 1080s and stuff like that, I definitely don't go there. I'll open up that chassis and disconnect that battery. Yeah, David, you're still safe for now. At least you're safe now at the point where the cold board was giving us activity, but we've still got to see whether you survive the installed board. And once again, I have trapped that Wi-Fi. But we didn't plug the camera in. That's okay. There are worse things that you can leave out. And we don't have Wi-Fi in, obviously. I'll put the one screw in the battery so that when I lift it up it doesn't flop out and smash. Hey, 10 minute. Battery in. Current looks good. I'm surprised you're surviving there, David. Really surprised. Should have been your head on the block. Hey, Andre, look. Oh, wow. Is it going to boot? What's it doing? It's just sitting there doing nothing. What is this, got a bad ME region or something? This is a little weird. We don't have a... Oh, there it goes. Oh, that was not a normal boot sequence. Okay, might be because we've only got 1% battery. We're not charging currently, so we do have to see if we get that. It can take 10 to 15 minutes before these batteries will actually come up to speed. Hey, Ted Berry. Yeah, we're doing well. We've got some people on the chopping block tonight, so it'll be interesting to see if they survive. The system seems to be content with the communications to the battery at least, as opposed to saying, you know, not going to charge it or anything like that. It's not charging yet, but they often can do... Oh yeah, we've got no camera yet. You got to give them 10 to 15 minutes because if they've been depleted all the way to zero, it does take a little time for the battery management system board in the battery to actually trickle feed the battery back up to the point where a normal sort of charging current can kick in. Like I said, 10 to 15 minutes it can take. If after an hour it still hasn't done anything, then you basically declare the battery dead. Keyboard testing. Okay, keyboard's tested successfully, so that's good. That's right, creature, yes. Something we all learned many years ago when we were dealing with unprotected lithium packs. Used to terrify me knowing that I had hundreds of lithium packs in my workshop. I would often wonder whether I'd wake up in the middle of the night to some sort of explosion, some great fire happening in my workshop. Okay, SD card works. The 800 milliamp might have been it talking to this. Yeah, give it a little time, give it a little time. It will just suddenly pop up. It'll be sitting at this 500 sort of mark, and then within about a minute or less it'll be doing 2 amps. So we're going to have to sit here and wait. Gives me a chance to actually catch up and chat. I see it popping to 600. It's trying, it's sort of like giving it little pushes. Let's see how that BMS reacts. But typically they should be bringing them up to around about 3 volts per cell, 2.9, 3 volt per cell before they swing into a more serious current. But anything down to about 2.75, they'll definitely have to go 1/10 of a C trickle. I thought we did do that, creature. I thought we would tape it off at about 75-80%. Because I know some people were using they're just trying to treat them like nickel packs, and they would raise the voltage to keep the current constant rather than sticking with the constant voltage and letting it taper off naturally. Hey David, what's David saying? David. Oh right, yes, David. It may have been the case. It's not guaranteed. Like this one is not guaranteed to actually work. We do know that the communications is working though to the battery, and we do know that the battery management system seems to report that it's a sort of a functional battery. It just has no power in it, no charge, or at least nothing significant. And we're just waiting to see if it comes out of the trickle and into a full charge. So, good high current cell can handle 90% state of charge and almost full amperage and 4.2 volts. That's the other thing we would do, and try and decide where we should stop them. I had to laugh. That creature, do you remember that normalizer that I produced, manufactured, with the acrylic casing and the pretty green lights and things like that. There we go, 700, 800, here it comes. 900, 1 amp, we're charging. It's alive. Yeah, with that normalizer, the first generation of that normalizer I made actually didn't work. It was, the only reason it worked was just pure luck. It had a design flaw in it, but it just was pure luck that it discharged to around about 2.9 volt a cell. Sorry, not 2.9, 3.9 a cell. But my subsequent versions, when I used the TL431, it did a much better job. I do miss making and designing things like that, but I gotta admit the manufacturing did bore me to tears. It was like, prototyping was great, but the manufacturing, it was just painful, so painful. Green like mashed peas, fresh mashed peas, yes it was. I wonder if there's actually still a picture of it. Let's see if I can find one. Let's go for a terrifying wander down memory lane. Let's see, schematics. PLD, LN3, S I think it was. Images. Yep, there it is. Looks like it's a shonky version of the image. When was this? 2009. That's 11 years ago. Damn. But yeah, so that was the norm. This is the second generation normalized. I can see it's got the TL4, 421, 471. Can't remember. Yeah, there's some shots where it looks prettier than that, but yeah. So this was fun because as part of the design of this, I had to try and find a way to efficiently use the acrylic to make the case. And sorry, I've just seemed to have lost my chat window here. There it is. Yeah, and so, and also I had to get enough cooling through here without, because these resistors would get very hot, obviously because they're discharging the battery energy, and it would cause the acrylic to actually get soft. So in the end, I created spaces using the cutouts for the ducting or the venting, and so I created these spaces. They would lock into the tab holes along the board. It would keep the PCB floating between the two acrylic things, and then of course I had these standoffs. The hex standoffs were actually the most expensive part of this whole board. The parts were, I think, 60 cents for all of these parts in bulk, maybe 30 cents extra for the big resistors, but these standoffs were like 50 cents a piece, so it's $2 just in those metal hex standoffs. The acrylic was about $1 a pop, so yeah, anyway, it was a good exercise. I very much enjoyed it, and I was very happy with the end result. It was a functional device. You just plugged it in, it brought the cells down to storage voltage, and that was it, and you could safely leave it on there pretty much indefinitely. Alright, let's go back to the overhead. Alright, so this is fixed. We are charging at 3 amps. That's a fixed board. I'm a happy man. We're up to 3% charge now, so yeah, this battery was fine. It just needed a little love and patience. Shut down, shut down. And more importantly, we found that replacing the SMC in this instance did in fact solve the dreaded fake 3437 spin system. And of course now I'm going to have to go back over my other boards and see if they too just simply need yet another SMC replacement, because I know that it's one of the things that everybody would try, is replace the SMC to resolve that fake start problem, and usually it never worked. You just end up the same problem. But I'm wondering, was in fact the problem that maybe the new SMCs that we put in there were also dud from the same fault, given that it seems to be fairly common on the 165s? Was it a case of we didn't realize that the SMCs that we're getting on the donor boards were because of, they were donor boards because of that same problem? And it was enough of a coincidence that we just started to feel that it was a PCH issue. I don't know. I'm kind of curious, because I know for a long time we were all trying, we were all failing, and yet all of a sudden I've started having successes with it. It's got me confused, that's for sure. $300 pack of standoffs is $10. Yeah, they're a lot cheaper now. I think they were, I can't remember, 15mm. I can't remember the exact height of them. Maybe they were 12mm. But needs to say, those metal ones they were very expensive, and I tried a lot of different places to source them, but to no real avail. And of course, remember, this was back in 2008, 2009. So AliExpress didn't actually exist at that time. You had Alibaba, but if you wanted to go through Alibaba, you basically would have had to buy 20,000 of those things before they'd even bother talking to you. It's kind of nice how things have changed in some ways. Okay, very glad that's a fixed job. Money, money, money. It's probably getting late, but we're going to have another shot at another board. What have I got here? 2179. Oh dear God. Oh well, try our luck. Wonder if it's a SMC programming issue. It could well be, Mark. Oh, mind you, though, when I heat the SMC, it behaves. So, so it's probably not a programming issue. Before the Liberal, we won't talk much about that. Before, when we actually had hope that we were all going to get fibre to the premises, before that hope was cruelly destroyed by the buffheads that simply decided whatever they said that we're going to do, we're not going to do. I mean, really, the whole NBN becoming the great mix crap fest, that genuinely is the closest I've ever felt to crying over a political outcome. Because I genuinely do not feel like we will see the national network get revitalized to what it should have been within my lifetime. And I mean, there's many years left in my lifetime. Geez, I hope so. And I just don't see it happening. Or at least certainly not in the time that I'm going to care. I don't even know what's wrong with this yet, so I guess I should plug it in and find out. So David's doing a quick exit here while he's still got his head. Alright, I do not have the new power board yet, so I'm having to actually shuffle this stuff around, which is really annoying. Thank you, Christian. Okay. 5 volts, 20 volts, 123, 524, 5... What is going on then with this? Bongs and runs. Okay, so we probably, if we're really lucky, it is booting. Shut down, okay. We might be really lucky and this is just a corrosion job. That is to say, there's a bit of corrosion on it somewhere, and it just simply needs to be cleaned up. And the transporting of it has cracked the corrosion to the point where it worked again. Yeah, all that money spent to just end up going back to the original. I know, that was the crazy and very frustrating thing when they were saying it's going to be 40 billion, and they still end up spending 50 billion, and we're going to have to spend another 50 billion at least to fix up what that is. So we end up with $100 billion network that could have been done for probably 50 billion originally. I mean, definitely their initial estimates were a little on the conservative side. We can see we've got liquid damage in here. But even still, I mean, it's a government project. Of course it's going to be overrun. I guess I'm, in many ways, madder with the Australian community for falling for that load of crap, as in thinking, oh my god, why do we want to spend this? I remember the arguments. People say, all we're going to do is watch TV on it, stupid TV shows. And it's like, even if that is all you do with it, what's the problem with that? For the rest of us, it's going to be an excellent resource. And now, as it is, yeah, most people have got Netflix or Disney or whatever they've got, and they prefer it. So it was very frustrating to have people demonize the project on grounds that they themselves end up actually using the project for. So I think the other really frustrating argument was the whole 5G will replace it all and make it completely ancient. 5G is going to be so much better. And it's like, you do not understand the basic physics of electromagnetic spectrum. But of course you can't explain that sort of stuff. It's very hard to explain that for any given technological advance relating to Wi-Fi or radio communications or broadcasting in terms of protocols or techniques is going to apply to wired versions too. Like if you can find a way to magically get past the what is it, Soren limit? So I can't remember now. Anyway, I think it's a limit of around about 1.5 or 1.6 bits per hertz currently. And of course, wireless being a broadcast, you're going to have all the reflections and other transmissions. It's just a great big shouty shout fest from the equipment versus a contained shout with wired. Look, being technically competent in that field during that election was a painful process. Windows blue screen of death on you. That's no good. I wonder if this might have been actually more of a keyboard failure. I have a feeling this board it really does actually look quite untouched. In which case it may be the audio board, the battery, or the keyboard. Battery looks like it might have been replaced. Certainly that plastic cover's been removed. It's not the Nyquist limit, it's Simmons Sampson's something. God damn it, now it's frustrating me. Let's see. Maximum bit rate per hertz limit theory. Shannon Hartley, that's it. The Shannon limit. Oh wow, that's going crazy there. And yeah, it involves an Nyquist rate. Yeah. I'm not sure what the actual figure is that they come up with. Anyway, but yeah, that's it. The Shannon limit. I remember when the we were transferring away from things like 36, 72 megahertz type radio transmitters for model aircraft over to the 2.4 spectrum. And it was certainly an interesting process, and I was excited to see how it goes. But some of the claims were a little bit ludicrous, like they were going, "Oh, you can have 200 planes in the air at once and no interference between each other." I'm like, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen, I don't imagine. I suspect you're going to find there's a lot of packet collisions and retries and all that sort of stuff. And I do believe they found that, literally, with a lot of planes all of a sudden, a lot of the transmit-receive synchronizations all of a sudden just dropping out because things got too noisy up there. And that looks perfectly fine too. Oh yeah, Joseph, yeah, with the good old, are you talking about Malcolm Turnbull? I don't think he invented, but he certainly invested in it. Yeah, he was a big investor in Oz Email, I remember that. I'm not sure if he actually created it. I think we can still opt to get fibre installed, but we have to just, you know, pony up the cost. And quite frankly, I probably would do that still. Maybe they're relying on people like me to do that. Don't forget to scan in the new job. Oh, thanks, yeah. Well, the politics here had no interest in it because they were just more interested in keeping Telstra happy. And I think that's the other tragic thing, is the amount of times that Telstra has been paid for the copper network that was already paid for by us. It's shambolic. And yet, sadly, this is the normal day-to-day stuff for politics everywhere around the world. You can see it a mile away that it's not right, but you do not have the power to be able to change that so easily. And most of the time, if you do decide to try and ascend the ladder to get to the point where you can finally change things, more than likely what's going to happen is you will get changed on the way up that ladder. It's almost inevitable, to the point where by the time you get there, you're no longer are the person that's going to do the changes that you envisaged doing. This board is completely and utterly untouched by the liquid. So this is actually not a board repair job. I suspect it's actually a keyboard job. Or a trackpad. A trackpad it probably is. Yep, there we go. It's a trackpad fault. You can see all down there, that junk. Don't know if I've got one of these trackpads. 2179. I know I can use from a couple of other models, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, this is basically just going to be a trackpad replacement job. Okay, 1203. I'm just putting in the information for this job. I should get the board number just for the sake of completing that information. And let me guess, it's going to be under the heatsink. If it's under the heatsink, I'm not going to take the heatsink off, because my tube of Tim Herman thick paste has not yet arrived. Just like my camera has not yet arrived, my 60 frames per second microscope camera. No. So what is this? This is a 1949 board or something? It better not be another type job. No thank you, creature. Okay. Nope, definitely not 1949. '58. No, it might actually be a '58. Just check a couple of things. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is 1958 by the looks of it. With those impressively but strangely annoying shaped RAM chips. So 100. Everything I'm looking at matches. So yeah, I'm gonna say this is a 820 1958. Thank you, Joseph. Eight two zero 1958. What is the time at the moment? 1:43. Bit late, but I did sleep this afternoon or this evening, so I guess I'll try see if I can check the third job here. Now this is 1707, I think. Yep, 1707. Beep. Indicator where the board label is. If you tell me what board you got, I can tell you where the label is. Okay, just gotta cover up some personal information there. Alrighty, anyone want to gamble as to what the fault on this one is? I'll just get this bottom panel off first so we can get on with other things. 1707, there's a few signature issues. Oh, it looks like Miles said 1958. Oh wow, you are stuck. There we go. Hey, Ruggers. Tell you what I haven't had lately is the machines where people put the spudger in too far. I always forget what model that is though. But yeah, there's a 13-inch model and people stick the spudger in a bit too far and they take out the sensor chip. Come on. Come on. Crikey, I don't think this one's ever been opened. Alright, maybe I just had to try a different angle. Alrighty. Okay, let's see what the current meter says. $20, so we don't have a 3215 issue. This is charging and booting. Alright, so my theory there is once again probably motion sickness. Could have corrosion. Again, that has built up. It's now broken apart because of the transporting, which means we have to basically just disassemble it. So functionality wise the board does function, but there is an intermittent fault. It'd be nice if I actually got a proper description on these ones. $15.98. There's an earlier version as well, isn't there, that has that fault? I've only had 3 or 4 of them, so I've sadly long since forgotten what their model code is. Yeah, it's not like a 1466 where you see them every second day. So what board is this? Is it a 928 or is it a 239? "29 seconds latency." That's pretty normal. I have it on a normal latency setting as opposed to low latency. Dried in transit fault. Yeah, that although it already probably was dry, it's just a case of crust broken in transit or something like that. Fault mode failure in transit. Well, this one's still got the lifeboat connector at least. Bit of a shame that Apple didn't continue on with that whole lifeboat system, but I suppose they changed the architecture too much in the subsequent models, so they're like, well, stuff it. And maybe they felt like it was too much drama from the service center perspective. And they just would rather convince people to instead invest in iCloud, which sadly I must admit I do myself suggest to people. Okay, a part just got knocked off, and I will admit that was actually from me. My fingernail caught that. Just there. Tech goes mad, breaks circuit board. Another evil man that unscrews the ports from the board rather than from the chassis. Well, you know what I mean? So how you... I know you can sort of lift it and dig under, but no thanks. That's too much strain on the board in my opinion. I mean, crikey, I'm already having palpitations because of the fact that I know I've knocked off... It felt like a diode. I hope it was a diode. Your micro cam looks fine, slight tearing, seems to know you're going to need to up your bit rate for a new cam. I'm not sure what you mean. When you say micro cam, you mean the microscope cam, right? Ah, fantastic. That's unscrewed the stud from the actual chassis. I shouldn't have to update, increase the bitrate too much. We'll see, we'll see. I don't think I can go higher than I already am. As it is, YouTube already somewhat frowns on me. Because I'm uploading like 10.5 and YouTube is like, please consider dropping down to 8.5 at the most. It's like, I don't think so. I think I'm going to stick with 10.5. To get a better image quality though, I will probably have to change back to CPU encoding rather than NV encoding. The CPU encoding definitely does have a sharper result. Obviously at the expense of the CPU. Rampant repair tech, right, what up? I'm not even going to show. Okay, first I'm going to have a look at the damage that I caused. Bam, there it is. Oh no, it looks like a little, that will just be a filtering cap. Yeah, that's just a little ceramic, not ceramic, tantalum filtering cap for the audio speaker output. Shouldn't have put its head up so high. I'm looking for the board number. There we go. It is a 928. ETA cloud hosted flexboard view. Probably never going to happen. Two two 928 date. Alright, let's look for possible corrosion then. Or something. Something that could explain. Again, it's probably going to be in the trackpad again. This is going to be 2 trackpad jobs. Okay, that marking there is not from me. That sort of scratch, that's not me. Yeah, Miles, that's why I sell my software as a perpetual license. So sure, you pay if you want to update to the newer versions, but you are permitted indefinitely to use the old version that you already had a license for. Alright, this is getting a little concerning. I may have butchered the board with my fingernail for no good reason. So normally I expect to see something here. There's nothing showing up there. We still have the other side to go. The right side, left side rather. It's a weird substance there. Yeah. I'm stumped. Check the trackpad. Wow, yeah, someone went wild there too. One little spot of liquid there. The fans are a bit dusty. This is why I don't like it when people don't send me good descriptions of what's going on, because it's you waste. Yeah, they know, but you end up wasting your time trying to find out what they already know. Oh, for fuck's sake. Those ports look pretty damn immaculate. Definitely nothing wrong with those ports. Right, the only speck of liquid I saw was coming in around about the opposite side of where that that cap was that I knocked off. Hello, bug. So we've got Mr. Knockoff cap there. And yeah, the only spot of liquid is over here. Yes, there are bugs everywhere. Welcome to North Queensland in the summer. Oh, what the hell's that? That is a fat solder ball. Hey, locked up shoppy. That is a very big solder ball. That is, yeah, I don't know where, that's not really likely one that's been squeezed out. That really feels like something got picked up on the assembly line or got knocked off the bottom of a chip. And it's, what is that, a half mil? Let's see, there's an easy way to tell. These are 402. Yeah, so that's half millimeter. Half millimeter diameter ball. So that cap could have been exploded though, so you just picked it off. That is possible. I was stupid enough that I didn't. I don't know where I'll put that. Damn it. I should have looked at it. Yeah, I have no idea what I've done with that now. Now I don't imagine that any given CPU or PCH on this has spat a ball out, so that's not even what I'm looking for. But it's entirely possible that that ball could have been making contact in an inappropriate way, which would cause the issue, which would explain why after the shakedown it's behaving. But it was certainly big, and it was certainly, like I said, it's something from a CPU or something large. I put it in my screw box, did I? Let's see if you're correct. Thank you, Riston, by the way. Hello to you. No, that's not the right. That's from something else, I'm guessing. That actually kind of looked like an iPhone part, to be honest. Oh, there it is. It doesn't look like it was exploded. I legitimately appear to have physically just knocked it. I can't see any sort of charring. Everything, all that damage there just looks like delamination to me from what I did. Yeah, that's just physical delamination. It is possible there's a fault with the board elsewhere. Maybe it doesn't charge. Unfortunately, this particular person has a tendency to send me stuff that, yeah, not with the information that I need to make a quicker diagnosis. I will sort of try and impress upon them to do so in the future to make my life easier. And rather also to make sure that I end up repairing what they actually want repaired as opposed to what I think I found. It's one of those casual business contacts that I've had for a very long time. You know them on a more personal level. And so, okay, I am going to absolutely need assistive heat here. And I'm not going to bring in the big chisel tip because it will make a much bigger mess than what already is going to be presented here. They do pay the bills, and that's why I don't tend to chuck up much of a fuss. But it would be nice to get more details. Yeah, even if it's just written on them. Wait, this does not match. I don't think so. Oh wait, yeah, maybe. No. No. The board view and the schematic do not appear to agree in this particular instance. It's close, but it's not the same down in this area here. It seems like there's a bit of reversal going on, but I think we're going to safely assume that these caps are the ones we're interested in. And that makes sense. 22 microfarad, 10 volt, 603s. Well, guess I'll just grab another couple of those. Miles, these ones get posted up to me, so they just turn up one morning in a big box. And like I said, I know who they're from and everything. But, okay, this board has actually been one of the most giving boards in terms of the amount of other machines it has saved through donoring its parts. But I say we better look for this. So 22, 10, 603. Search, find a part. 10 volt, 603. Yeah, it's not even close, creature. I was just looking to see if I could actually... pardon me. I was seeing if I could see anything that would have matched. Well, the 239 does seem to have them. Except they are ceramics, they are not... Okay, so these are not tantalums. Whereas these... Oh wait, no, you got X5... What? Maybe the CR isn't meaning... But X5R CRM, that would be... To me, that would imply ceramic. Okay, I'm gonna have to assume otherwise. Alright, maybe I'll bring back that 239 board and see if I can locate it. So it's just under that. Yeah, okay, these ones are ceramics. Interesting. So basically what they've done is on the schematic they've specified ceramics, but on the board they installed tantalums. Yay! I mean, personally, I'm more of a fan of the ceramics. This is an ugly board. So that's going to be a problem because 99% of the ones that are going to be found in the search, they are going to be ceramics. See, as you can see here, these are also audio sections, and it's all ceramic. I suspect I might have a better chance with one of the older boards. Oh yes, you can absolutely get 22 micro. I got 300 microfarad ceramics. The difference is just in the way they react to certain frequencies. Yeah, just various dynamic characteristics. Let's see, 244, 281, 2530. Okay, iPhone definitely won't have ceramics. I mean, it won't have tantalums. Hey, Copaz. $12.78. Wow, so many of these boards I do not recognize. Funnily enough, the 928 has it. Lo behold. Yes, tantalums generally are smaller physically for the same capacitance and voltage rating. But ceramics are doing a very good job of catching up on that, or at least, yeah. So these days, most of the time you can swap them over. Particularly in power situations. Let's see, 2850 I might have. The 2850 was a lie. Well, I could just put the ceramic on there. It'll fit. Because I don't really like my chances of finding a finding a replacement otherwise. Just a bit of a shame that it was through my own incompetence. So I'll rotate this off just to verify that it is 22 microfarads. Again, it's really not going to make a major difference. I'll be very surprised if the people listening to the MacBook speakers will determine, they go, hey, there's a missing 22 microfarad, or even more unlikely, them going, my gosh, that sounds like an MLCC rather than a tantalum. Pause. That's a 10 microfarad. Well, that ain't no 22 microfarad. Which is kind of scary because that's what it's supposed to be. That is definitely meant to be a 22. And that is definitely not a 22. Oh boy, Paul, what have you done? What you got yourself into? What about that one that Daniel sent me? Has that got what I need on it? It has indeed. Look at this. What do you know? The board Daniel sent me has exactly the part that I need. Yep. Yeah, you gotta love that sort of coincidence in life, don't you? And this only just arrived today. So, thank you, Daniel Lang. Your board has already immediately saved me. Some could say that it was a complete conspiracy made up by me. I deliberately knocked that part off just so I could create this exotic outcome. Because the big scary thing though with these caps compared to the ceramics is when you're transferring them, the little bastards really do like to periodically pop. If you get them too hot, they go, nah, stuff you. Okay, that one's good. Measure it once it's off. I'll do it to another one. This one I'm gonna put on. Put our little protective shield there because we don't really wish to have to replace the connector as well. Ah, Riston, yeah, that power supply was a laugh. Half of me was tempted to open up the multi-board, the multi-port board, to see what kind of damage it did cause. But then I realised that's going to be a few minutes because it does have the unusual triangle head. And so I decided not to. I hate it when it does this. It leaves small amounts of residue. The real trick is to go at it again with the IPA while it's hot, and eventually you'll get it. So you can see it's clearing up now, but I've still got all this stuff in here that's a bit problematic. I think we can call that pretty good. Hey Paul Barton, how's it going? Alright, right, we actually don't know what's wrong with this board. We don't know what is wrong with this machine yet. That's a pretty bad way to be. Hey Kevin Whitehouse. John Lockhart, was this you want to try the IPA? Acetone is forbidden. I'm sorry. I know some people do like their acetone, and by all means feel free to keep using your acetone, but in this workshop it is forbidden. Now really that's more on me. I obviously do not have the competence to use acetone in a way that doesn't end up causing degradation on my customer jobs. Oh, Indian Pale Ale, that's right, I remember that being mentioned to me the last time. Miles, it seems like you do everything different. You screw out those first, you use acetone, What else is there that I don't know about you? Oh, we've also got that damned stud there. That has to come out. Nope, can't do it with the fingernail. Not unless I don't want the fingernail. The trouble with these standoffs is that they are not the same size as the socket driver that I've got. Also got to be careful not to do them up too tightly, otherwise you will probably ruin the biscuit keyboard base. Okay. Miles, if you're a shortcut man, why don't you just go buy a new MacBook for the people? Isn't that the sort of shortcut that Apple wants us all to take? Don't try and fix your MacBook. Buy a replacement MacBook. And restore everything from the cloud. I wonder if this may be... No, it doesn't make sense. I was going to say, I wonder if maybe this is actually one of those ones where it's stuck in an update loop because of the touch bar. Or this system requires a security update. Because your surname's not Trump. Well, fair enough. I suppose that's fair and reasonable. Plus it's boring. Well, that's true. But then, if you're up at that level, you could do other, more interesting things with your money. Ew, these are disgusting again. Rich people. I'm talking like multi-millionaires, not millionaires. Millionaires are pretty standard fare these days. Multi-millionaires or billionaires, what a different life they live. Very different life. Just thinking, oh, I think I'll go out and buy this today. Yeah, no holds, no holding back, no nothing. But yeah, it must be an interesting sensation to be that wealthy. Okay. I wonder if it could have been that solder ball too. That was the other possibility. Okay, it's perhaps a little revealing at that angle. I hope we shouldn't be able to reveal too much information there. $20, 1.6, 1.4. Bong. Boot's fine. Trackpad works. What the hell's wrong with this? keyboard issues. Because I can't boot into my diagnosis disk, I'm going to have to test the keyboard this way. Cap locks works. I'm stumped. I don't know what's wrong with this. 8555. Unfortunately, we're finishing up now. A VDiv. What are you doing, voltage divider? Yeah. 20, and it's 2 amps. Let's see if it ticks over past 22%. But I'm stumped. All I can possibly think of is that the that solder ball was at fault, which is very strange. Yeah, accidentally hit enter. Yeah, that's fortunately, at least, you know, it's not like it's an iPhone where you put it in too many times and you get locked out. That's fairly much indefinite so far as I understand. The only other thing I could possibly think of is maybe this is coming in for FlexGate, but it doesn't seem to have any indication of that. And if it's not something this person would send to me for, because they would know what FlexGate or Dustgate is, and they would resolve it themselves by either probably getting another screen. I know that they're repairable, but honestly, I'm still ordering replacement screens for those failures rather than trying to fix up those flexes. Call me paranoid, but I am a little worried that a lot of those fixes, mostly for FlexGate, are just deferring the inevitable. Well, Miles, to be fair, the other one was a trackpad failure, so at least we know that one. But this one is still leaving me in the unknown. There was a version that accepted blank password and logged you in. Oh, really? Oh, that must have been a long time ago. Okay, 23%. It's charging, so I'm stumped. Yeah. I'm going to have to ask about that one because I do not have a good answer for this one. The battery is a little bit puffy, like I can push on it and I can see that cell there is degenerated. So yeah, the battery should be replaced before too long, but it's not going to be what would have caused any issues here. That's disappointing. I think we should test that 1466 to see if it's still alive. Just wait for this to stop spinning so I can put it back into the slots. Thank you. Actually, I might even... I'll just disconnect the battery. Okay, you can go back into your slot, where you can think about the fact that you have not failed and how you should improve upon that. Okay. Oh, the 1466, I can't really... we can do a... what do you call it? Just a test like this to see if it behaves. See if we get our green light blinky. Okay, Riston, thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. Okay, we're up to 500 straight away. So as soon as you see 500 coming up after a couple of seconds on these boards, then you should be good. You plug in the chipmunk. And we still have CPU. So yeah, that one is definitely fixed. That was either the SMC or something very close to the SMC. Alright, well, I think that's about it for tonight. And It's kind of a little bit disappointing that two of the machines were kind of self-fixes, not really board repairs, other than me using my thumbnail to knock off parts, but that's kind of cheating. But I guess we'll see how we go tomorrow. But I appreciate you all being here, and sit tight for another 24 hours, and hopefully we'll have some more interesting things to fix, assuming they decide to actually be broken on screen. Actually, I should have some stuff tomorrow, because I know that one of the local stores, we've now started exchanging jobs, so I should be getting my first customer job from them, and I believe it will be a data recovery on a 1707, so fingers crossed we can have success with that, and it's not going to be a case of the SSDs being damaged. I'm out here, you all take care, and I'll catch up for you the next time. Till then, see you later.